Former President Trump securing a nearly $92 million bond after losing his defamation case brought by writer Carroll. Trump has asked that the judgment against him be paused. Now the judge has ordered Carroll's attorneys to respond to Trump's request by today and said if Carroll opposes the arrangements, he will hear arguments this afternoon. ABC News investigative reporter Olivia Rubin joins me now, along with legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer for more. Olivia, what's the latest here, and what do we know about how Trump secured this bond?
Well, that is the exact question on many people's mind. We know that he secured this $92 million bond. He used a subsidiary, a Virginia-based insurance company that's a subsidiary of this major Swiss insurance company called Chubb. But what we don't know and what the public doesn't know is exactly what Donald Trump put up to secure this bond. Did he use cash? Did he put up part of a property that he owns? It's just not clear, and it's just not clear that it will become clear exactly what he put up. But you can see in the documents submitted, he signed that bond himself, and as you said, he is asking the judge to pause it while he continues this case on appeal. So that is the question on many people's minds. What did Donald Trump use for this case here?
Brian, now there's this deadline for a response. What are you watching for today?
Yeah, so first let's take a step back. For Donald Trump, he has to ask for what's called a stay, or what we call a pause. And as a part of that, you have to show the success or the likelihood of success on the merits of the case, the irreparable harm that you would get if there wasn't a pause, and then the equity between both parties. What I'm looking for is not only Donald Trump's arguments as to those 3 points, but if we do, and I'm expecting we're going to probably get a response from Carroll, what are her arguments to say, like, no, this isn't going to be a successful appeal. You've already argued this already, and the judge has answered these questions both in terms of your liability and now basing your punishment. I want to see the arguments and how they play out.
So the basis of the argument is I'm appealing this case, so I shouldn't have to pay this fine until that appeal is decided. Well,
he has to put aside a certain amount of money to kind of like just sit there while the appeal goes on, because you can't go to an appeal, ultimately lose it or win it, and just say, you know what? I lost it, but I'm not going to give you the money back. So that money still has to be held as a bond there. But I want to see the successful arguments that are going to be put forward today and potentially arguments this afternoon if Carroll does come forward and says, you know what, I don't think you should get a stay or a pause.
Olivia, over the weekend, Trump claimed that these were false accusations made by a woman he knew nothing about. He has already been found liable for the sexual assault. He's already been found liable for defaming Carroll when he denied the sexual assault. So what happens now with this new comment? Could they bring another claim against him?
Well, they absolutely could, and I'm reminded of a recent interview that one of Carroll's attorneys, Sean Crowley, did on MSNBC, where she was asked about separate comments that Donald Trump gave after their second case. And she said, essentially making it very clear that they were watching every single word that Donald Trump said. They did not completely rule out the possibility that they could bring another suit. And those were striking comments, because think about it, Carroll has already sued him for defamation twice. So will they go for a third time? They've shown that they're not opposed to it, and they are the same comments, because Donald Trump says a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. We know that that is the way that he speaks. So he's making the same comments frequently that she has already won against him for defamation, such as the "I don't know her, I never met her."
Brian, how do you see this playing out?
I think Donald Trump ultimately does get the stay. It was going to be an issue that's going to go before the Second Circuit here that covers both New York and other states north of us. In terms of the arguments there, I'm looking to see what legal justification ultimately the judge in the Second Circuit says, well, either the judge, Engoron, made a mistake in this matter or in that matter, because I think at the heart of this appeal, it's going to be mistakes based on the judge. Donald Trump has never minced words as to his feelings about this prosecution or the civil cases against him. And I think a lot of this appeal is going to be that the judge erred in letting in information or not letting in other parts of the information. I want to see how that ultimately pans out for him.
And Olivia, former Trump aide Peter Navarro has been ordered to report to jail in Miami next week after he defied the subpoena from the January 6th committee. What's the latest on that?
Well, Peter Navarro, in about a week's time, is going to become the first sort of known former Trump associate to go to jail related for actions on January 6th or related to January 6th. Because remember, he was found guilty of 2 counts of contempt of Congress for not participating in their investigation into the attack on the Capitol. As you said, he defied those subpoenas. So he was sentenced to 4 months in prison. He is going to report court to prison next week unless there is a stay, which he is asking for a pause of the sentence while he is up on appeal. So if that doesn't come down within the next week, Peter Navarro will be the first former Trump aide going to jail related to January 6th, Diane.
And Olivia, how is Trump's legal timeline looking right now as he's also campaigning for president?
Well, I think if you ask Donald Trump or the people around him, the legal timeline's not looking so bad because he went from having multiple court dates to suddenly only having one. We know as of now he's going to trial in just 2 weeks in Manhattan on the hush money case, but the January 6th case, the documents case, the Georgia case, all of those have been upended exactly how he wanted. They have been pushed back exactly how he wanted due to, appeals, disqualification efforts. Everything has been pushing back the timeline. So we'll ultimately see if any of them do get a trial date before the election. But so far, he has upended 3 of them with just one going forward. And in many people's eyes, it is the least serious case of all of them.
All right. Olivia Rubin, Brian Buckmeyer, thank you both. And Senator Bob Menendez, his wife, and 2 others are due in court today to be arraigned on new criminal charges. The New Jersey Democrat and his co-defendants are facing new charges of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, bribery, and extortion. Prosecutors say Menendez and his wife took hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes, then got his attorney to falsely claim them as loans. Menendez is rejecting calls from fellow Democrats to resign from the Senate.